Hey, what the hell? What the hell are these guys doing?
Ain't exactly clear.
Hey! As right now, a bioweapon lab facility was just found in Las Vegas. There's a bat virus in India. What's going on here? Some people are saying the conspiracy theorists are having too much of a good time. Now it's time to roll out the bioweapons. Is that exactly what's happening here? So, of course, there's some interesting disclosures regarding the Epstein email list and, quote, pandemic preparedness that we're going to be talking about here. But this latest case of a Chinese biolab being done in Las Vegas is a very interesting one that I think deserves our attention, as, of course, the corporate media now is specifically talking about this Napa virus as the next possible thing. As I think this conversation is worth having, specifically with some of the very surprising globalistic type of scientific experiments that Jeffrey Epstein was a part of, as I bet we probably still don't know much more about that. We're still just scratching the surface here. We're going to go deep down the rabbit hole. We might even have time to talk about how a lot of this could be related towards what's happening with Iran right now. Lots of propaganda surrounding that particular story. I might save it for another video here, but it's pretty clear some weird things are happening. We're going to be talking about that and a lot more all here on this independent media broadcast. If you appreciate it, subscribe. Click the notification button, as the conspiracy theorists have been on a burner. Oh yeah. It's just been wild here, as now a suspected biolab uncovered in a Las Vegas home. FBI called in. They used a hazmat team as well as robots in order to test the air and clear a residence in the East Valley, Las Vegas, Nevada, where they found refrigerators packed with vials of unknown liquids and possible biological materials. An arrest has been made. Materials have been seized, as people are talking about how this could be tied to a similar type of scenario and situation that unfolded in California. This is what Brianna Morello is reporting here. A legal biolab run by Chinese nationals was found in Las Vegas. Nothing to see here. The CDC identified 20-plus infectious agents, HIV, TB, deadly malaria, and a fridge labeled Ebola. The lab claims to sell test kits, but was importing counterfeit kits from China. Now, the China aspect here is very important here, as the Chinese national who was previously arrested here was in connection to another biolab in California. How? What? Huh? How is any of this just being allowed here? As Brianna Morello says, shocking! As the lab stated purpose was, quote, selling test kits, but it mainly just imported. So what were they doing here? This is ABC News reporting on this current situation.
Executed a search warrant on Saturday morning. Investigators say they discovered refrigerators with vials containing unknown liquids. Here's ABC's Melissa Dunn.
Tonight, the FBI and Las Vegas police investigating a possible biological lab found inside a Nevada home. Authorities executing a search warrant Saturday morning.
This is an isolated incident, and there is no threat to the public as we stand here today.
Authorities releasing
that we know of is, of course, when we look at biological forms of warfare and the scientific type of experiments, the chimera, human hybrid animal type of experiments that scientists are working on in the United States and in China. In China, they're working on literally creating super soldiers that have altered DNA that could allow them to sustain radioactive exposure. Yeah. Chimera, human, man-pig type of experiments also being done. As science has some people say I say it's a weapons program. It's pretty clear what's happening here. I have a lot of questions specifically when it comes to also the Olympics. If you look at a lot of the kind of Asian Olympians, some of them have a lot of European features. There's a reason China even according to the FBI's own admission, was collecting COOF test kits everywhere that had people's DNA. I'll tell you why in a little bit, but here's the continued report here. As of course, I believe we went through a biological weapons operation through the COOF years, right? And I believe it was deliberately released. Now, I'll tell you my kind of deeper down the rabbit hole conspiracy theories, but that's just my assessment based off my own interpretations of all the circumstantial evidence I have seen. I haven't seen any smoking guns because there wouldn't be any, but that's just my theory here. And that's why I think, things like this are worth talking about, specifically with the larger picture of just how crazy science has gotten and all of the kind of experiments that are being done without any care and consideration for local populations, the results from it. I mean, we literally got Bill Gates blocking out the sun. And people are like, protect Bill Gates. We can't let Microsoft fall. And I'm like, I think Microsoft will do fine without Bill Gates. Okay? I think it'll be okay. I think reining in Dr. Fauci is of key utmost critical importance. And this is why RFK Jr., Rand Paul have criminal referrals that they put on Pam Bondi's desk that Pam Bondi has ignored that I think deserves our attention. Before playing the rest of this clip and talking about the virus in India and the kind of larger geopolitical situation unfolding with China and Iran, a bunch of other stuff, we just really wanted to tell you about wearechange.shop. Our first supplement was ashwagandha. Why? Because it helped me out tremendously. I only take it 1 month out of the year. You don't want to become dependent on it. It's powerful. Some people shouldn't take it, especially if they have liver and thyroid issues. It's some really great, incredible stuff. And it was the first type of supplement that I started taking that started to really personally help me. And then you add that to a healthy lifestyle, caring about your sleep, working out, and man, the results you get that I got from ashwagandha were really absolutely amazing. It is an adaptogen. It is an herb. It reduces cortisol levels by 20 to 30%, especially in chronically stressed individuals. If you are dealing with a lot of stress or dealing with like significant like pain or suffering, it has shown to help a lot of people. A lot of people talk about how it also helps with boosting up testosterone, and there have been a lot of very interesting studies surrounding that. My testosterone went up. A lot of that is with diet, sprinting, and exercise. That's the hard part. Supplementation is just a little type of thing that helps me dial in my own personal body. I really like this stuff. A lot of people talk about how it absolutely helps nourish, stimulate, and help heal the brain and helps increase cognitive abilities and function. I personally reported that. Not everyone should take it. Talk to a medical professional before taking ashwagandha. And again, you don't see a lot of vitamin salesmen say this, like, hey, don't take it that much. Hey, do your research. Hey, it might not be right for you. Pregnant women, other people need to be careful when it comes to taking a lot of this stuff. Why? Because I want good, positive juju. I want to make sure that my life's work is that I am able to help enable people become the strongest, best versions of herself. That's my life mission. That's why I created wearechange.shop. That's why I've been on a health tear lately. I feel incredible. I want that for you. I really do. And it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of research. Wearechange.shop is the start of it. Start your research journey. Find out if it's right for you. As of course, a lot of people going through a lot of high stress, especially around this time. Great way just to chill out. So ashwagandha, wearechange.shop. Check it out. Anyway, let's continue on. As of course, there's a lot of things to be stressed out about. Super soldier, radiant resistance from China. Genetically altered Olympians, sports stars. I'm pretty sure the Dagestanis were working on some kind of like biological human gene altering type of experiment that made them like one of the best UFC hubs in the world. My theory, who knows? But the Russians are doing a bunch of gene altering doping type of stuff too with the Olympics as well. Lots of wild stuff happening out there in this world, and it's only going to get wilder, especially with the progression of AI, technology, and quote science that is really doing some weird stuff that I think we need more caution than just this type of like, oh yeah, let's do these ungodly type of experiments.
This video showing officers in hazmat suits searching the property. They say finding vials containing unknown liquids.
Our teams went inside and found evidence of possible biological material.
Authorities calling it a complex investigation that could take days.
This has to be a slow and methodical process by design. We have to take these situations very seriously, and we take all necessary precautions to keep our personnel and community safe.
Law enforcement say they took a suspect into custody.
Lindsay, this is an unusual case. The FBI says it is sending several specialized teams to help in the investigation. Lindsay?
Melissa, thank you.
Now, what's really going on here is, of course, a lot of people accuse China and the United States of biological forms of sabotage, especially when it comes to plants, when it comes to harvest, when it comes to agriculture, as there's a lot of weird bugs making its way that does wreak havoc on American industry and the American economy. There's accusations of the United States doing that against allegedly the Soviet Union, doing it against Cuba as well. Here now is China doing something like this here domestically inside of the United States. I don't know. Here's another news report of the situation.
Just a little over a week ago, LVMPD received limited information indicating that laboratory equipment and potentially hazardous materials were being stored at a residence in the northeast part of our town. As our investigation progressed, we determined that the home was owned by the same individual connected to a prior illegal biolab investigation in Reedley, California that occurred in 2023. The nature of that earlier investigation raised significant concern for what we might encounter in this new case. In Reedley, investigators reportedly discovered an illegal biolab containing materials possibly associated with a range of infectious diseases, including hepatitis, COVID, HIV, malaria, and other potentially dangerous pathogens. While it is unknown whether similar materials were present here at the Las Vegas residence, the possibility required us to proceed with extreme caution.
And then this is the information that they released about the main suspect in this particular case here. Over 1,000 samples of an alleged biolab here. Now, when we do a lot of this type of studies, I mean, especially when it comes to gene altering type of studies, gain of function studies, there's significant risk to mutations, to viruses, to lab leaks. A lot of people believe what happened during the coup years was a lab leak. I think it's a little bit more sophisticated. But is this guy just a random weirdo doing weirdo stuff? With the way that the kind of conspiracy world is right about so much, especially in 2026, I kind of doubt that. Here's what the police said about the suspect.
So that's not the main suspect. That's the main suspect in the California case. The primary suspect we arrested, however, is Mr. Ari Solomon. He's 55 years old, and his initial charge was a charge of disposing and discharging hazardous waste. Solomon is believed to be the property manager for both houses on Sugar Springs and Temple View. As previously briefed, the first phase of this operation began early Saturday morning. You're going to start to see a number of images from this.
And then they went on and they talked about how the robot was used to open the doors, get into the building, check the air, because obviously you don't know if there is some kind of contamination or some type of potential lab leak here. A lot of people believe that that is how COOF spread from Wuhan, China, all over the world, from the Wuhan Institute of Virology that was just working on the same type of sickness as the Chinese government cleaned up the site and then told everyone, no, it's this wet market that people went from international organizations to contact trace and then couldn't really do it. Interesting.
To assess the conditions before entering a dangerous environment. Once this residence was cleared, LVMPD's armor team entered the scene. Armor, for those of you that don't know, is our all-hazard regional multi-agency operations and response unit. They do all of the gamut of the CBRNE. Wearing protective equipment, including respirators, the team drilled a small access point into the interior door leading to the garage and inserted a probe to assess air quality. A pinhole camera was also deployed, transmitting live video to the command post. And
I mean, imagine being one of these officers. It's like, hey, we got a suspected Chinese biolab boy. Congressman Kevin Kiley came out and he was like, an illegal biolab was just raided in Las Vegas. It's directly linked to the secret Chinese lab found in California in 2023. which was oozing with E. coli, HIV, and malaria. Congress must pass our bill to find these illegal labs and shut them down. I would hope so. Can we shut down the ones that Fauci started that are connected to the CIA and Echo Health Alliance and Peter Daszak? Here's what he had to say on the House floor.
A serious national security issue that requires the immediate attention and immediate action from the United States Congress. An illegal biolab was just raided in Las Vegas, and it is directly linked to the secret Chinese biolab found in Reedley, California in late 2022. That lab was oozing with E. coli, HIV, malaria, and other dangerous pathogens. The lab just raided in Vegas was operated by the same LLC and same Chinese nationals as...
You would think after the first time, they're like, hey, buddy, that's not cool. This is Politico with their reporting last year. CIA now says COOF is more likely to have originated from a lab leak, as the CIA was paying for a lot of the studies that were being done at this particular lab. There's a bat lady that came out a couple months ago. She's like, yeah, we're working on even deadlier strains of the COOF. It's like, okay, It's like we're in this kind of weird scenario and situation where all these like crazy mad scientists that are totally unaccountable that work with the intel agencies are just creating the worst type of biological forms of warfare humanity has ever freaking faced. And we're kind of stuck in this position where it's like, hey, please stop that. And then you're told, conspiracy theorist. If you remember, the CIA now says this, but the CIA was also a part of a coordinated attempt during the beginning of COOF. If you said this, you got banned, you got censored, you got demonetized, you got downranked in the algorithm. We were saying this from the very beginning. We were saying, hey guys, what you're seeing out there, it was a lab. Me and David Icke made a video. What was it? 6 years before the COOF in like the late 2000s. And we specifically said there's going to be something that they're going to biologically create, and it's going to be the perfect excuse for a lockdown. They're going to create a procedure. They're going to force the procedure on everyone. That video was released about, I think, 6 or 7 years before COOF, around that time. And YouTube took it down for COOF misinformation. And I'm like, what? Why can't we even talk about that? That's just wild. That's just crazy that they deleted videos of us warning that this was going to happen. So when it was happening, I was freaked out. I was like, they created a bioweapon. I was like, I'll put the mask on. I don't care. I don't want the bioweapon. It's a bioweapon. It's a bioweapon. It's a bioweapon. And everyone's like, no. And we got in a fight, an argument. And in context, in the hindsight, I was wrong on some things, of course. But I remember back in the day saying this, Zero Hedge lost a lot of their access to reach people, to be able to communicate with people, because they said, hey, it's a bioweapon. And I said, they are absolutely right. They are 100% right. And people who were saying it got severely punished. And now the CIA came out, like, oh yeah, actually they come out from that lab that was working on the same exact type of sequence and making it as dangerous as they could here. Yeah. The Chinese still are like, oh no. The Chinese are saying some interesting things, as there's a Chinese colonel that's coming out and is even accusing the United States of creating the bird flu as a biological weapon. There's a meat tick out there. I still got to do the meat tick video. That's pretty wild that someone just passed away from, that bites you and makes you allergic to meat. A perfect Bill Gates type of weapon that, of course, Bill Gates is heavily invested in, as, of course, he's invested in meatless products and fake meat. Huh. As this tick now is spreading everywhere, the Lone Star tick, biting everyone and making people allergic to meat. As the globalists and internationalists, a part of their kind of global warming hoax and scam that they try to run on everybody, are always coming out and saying, you shouldn't eat meat. Meat's bad. Cow's bad. Cows fart. Oh, no, we got to get rid of the cows. We got to get rid of the sustenance. We got to get rid of the one thing in our food that hasn't yet been tainted, destroyed, heavily engineered, and heavily processed to the point that it's actually causing significant problems. Now, Daily Mail reporting, Chinese national charged with smuggling deadly bacteria into the United States, after FBI Director Kash Patel says. This story is from a couple days ago, December 19, 2025. A Chinese national on a visa in the U.S. has been charged with allegedly smuggling deadly bacteria into the country. FBI Director Kash Patel said Friday that Yuhan Jing, a postdoctoral researcher on a J-1 visa, was charged with allegedly smuggling E.coli into the country and making false statements about it. Why would they lie? That's the aspect of this that really makes you wonder, as of course there are serious talks and considerations about sabotage of American agriculture, of American business, of American food production. Patel wrote on X, "This is yet another example of a researcher from China given the privilege to work at a U.S. university, who then allegedly chose to take part in schemes to circumvent U.S. laws and receive biological materials hidden in a package originating from China." As Donald Trump's literally making the argument, we need H-1Bs, we need Chinese students at our universities. Do we? Do we really? As it's pretty clear here, there's a insidious trap unfolding here. Especially with the AI war that's happening between China and the United States. There are a lot of other globalists that have helped and participated and worked with China, Bill Gates being one of them. Dr. Fauci being one of them, Eco Health Alliance, Peter Daszak, all their grants. They literally took our money and they're like, oh yeah, let's do biological forms of warfare in China. And it's like, why are you doing this? This is the kind of complex type of wild, weird situation that we have to unfold here. Quote, "It was not revealed where Xing was allegedly smuggling the bacteria into or for what purpose. But in his post, Patel thanked FBI officers in Indianapolis and Chicago's. Xing's attorneys, James Tuck, told Daily Mail that he was legally working in a U.S. Indiana university. There are many strains of E. coli bacteria, and it is not known which specific strain Xing was allegedly attempting to bring into the United States." Patel continued, "The FBI and our Border Patrol partners are committed to enforcing U.S. laws put in place to protect against the global threat to our economy and food supply. If not properly contained, E. coli and other biological materials could inflict devastating disease to U.S. crops and cause significant financial losses to the U.S. economy." And again, there's fourth and fifth forms of generational warfare that a lot of people believe is at play here, specifically when it comes to degrading the culture, degrading people's family life, people's religions. As a lot of people argue, what's happening right now, especially in America, is the kind of perfect way in order to destroy America's future. Now, some people argue Trump's fighting back against it. I think there's a different paradox here that we're involved here, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence, that is definitely worth having more of a very serious conversation on that a lot of people aren't ready. Now, the article continues, "E. coli typically comes from undercooked meat, unpasteurized dairy, and raw produce like apples, cucumbers, and sprouts. People can become infected with E. coli with consuming contaminated food or water, through contact with animals or through their feces, and via contact through feces of an infected person." Yeah, not a fun thing. This, as we have now the Napa virus. What is it? Where is it found? How does it spread? What is the Napa virus? Well, it's another zoonotic virus, meaning it could be spread from animals to humans. Now, how does that usually happen? It usually happens through gain-of-function research. Sometimes it does happen naturally, right? But what a lot of the scientists are doing, especially with gain-of-function research, it's like, okay, let's put in a sleeve of HIV in there. All right, yeah, cool. Let's add that DNA sequence of E. coli in there. All right, cool, yeah. Let's put the flu in there. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, let's put it in a pangolin. Put it in a bat. As now we're finding out, it could be transmitted through contaminated food or directly from human to human. It was first identified in 1999 during an outbreak with pig farmers in Malaysia and Singapore. The natural host of the virus are fruit bats, particularly those of the Perturus genus. And again, there's a reason a lot of scientists, gain-of-function research, work with bats. There is evidence that Nipah virus can infect other animals, including pigs, dogs, cats, goats, horses, and sheep. People are talking about the symptoms. The virus right now is allegedly spreading in places like India, Bangladesh, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and people are now treating it pretty seriously. CNN Health, what to know about the Nipah virus. And of course, they show the scary image of people in contamination suits as they talk about 2 Napa virus cases have been confirmed in eastern India. The World Health Organization says they lost a lot of trust with the general public recently. We have this from Yahoo News. Officials issue urgent warning. Urgent! Is it really urgent, or is it another type of like fear-mongering campaign? Because we've been induced to a lot of fear-mongering campaigns too. If you remember, it was nothing, just nonstop fear, panic, type of insane coverage from the corporate media, from a lot of health authorities that abused their positions of power and used the situations in order to implement emergency procedures that they've been wanting to implement ever since. They've been trying to pass rules and regulations for climate change. They're like, people shouldn't travel. People shouldn't eat meat. People should be locked down. People should be restricted. People should be in 15-minute cities. People should be in pods. People should eat the slow. People should be online the whole time. Oh, it's like we perfectly implemented all those things through COOF. Oh, you're on the beach. You're in the park. Jail. You're a grandmama with a little store. How dare you? Jail! As jackboot police officers came around and then arrested you and told you, you better go to Walmart. You want your good and produce? Don't buy it from this local store. Don't buy it from this local restaurant. Go to Walmart. Go on Amazon. Go do that. Now, is this urgent? I don't know. The media is talking about it. Other people are talking about it. What will happen here? Who in the world knows? Is this a natural type of phenomenon? Is this something else? We don't know. Now, I do find it interesting that Bill Gates was working on pandemic simulations with Jeffrey Epstein all the way in 2017. You cannot make this stuff up. Now, Bill Gates also heavily invested a year right before the COOF in business and enterprises that rewarded him very handsomely during the COOF, as he was one of the biggest propellers of saying, look what China's doing. China's great. Bill Gates literally came out. And I don't remember his exact words off the top of my head, but he pretty much was like, China's doing great. China's awesome. China's the model, guys. Let's do what China's doing. There was like a reported sickness. They did trace and database. They have a social credit score. They're able to digitalize and know almost everything about everyone in China. And they're like, oh, we got a suspected sick case here. Let's lock down the entire building that they're in. And, oh, people starved to death. Oh, oopsie. And Bill Gates is like, yes, more. We need that. That's great. You better take the procedure that I'm invested in. You better not go outside. We need to contract trace, which was just their way of setting up a social credit score system.
Now here we are. You know, we didn't simulate this. We didn't practice.
On behalf.
Yeah, you did. You got the World Health Organization. Bill Gates literally simulated and practiced this. Jeffrey Epstein was involved many years before that. What was it, 2021? 2020? And Epstein's a convicted predator, registered predator. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Half of our partners in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
So both the health policies and economic policies, we find ourselves in uncharted territory.
They knew exactly what territory they were in, and they war gamed it, and they had multiple layers of implementation of their agenda, with COOF being the kind of big excuse for all of the kind of implementations of restrictions and destructions of your personal liberties, your finances, your ability to be free, your ability to, of course, just live and exist. Now, certain countries exhibited other more kind of gross layers of control than others, and they just called it Tier 1 or Green Level or Level 5 or Level 6. In reality, they were listening and playing from the same type of playbook, just naming it different kind of policies to the general public, but it all involved the same type of things. And Australia, New Zealand, China, Israel definitely went with it full blast, right? You got into an argument with and there were documented cases, you got into an argument and you pissed off an officer in places like Australia. The officer, being vengeful, said, you know what? I think we got to put you in one of those COOF camps. I think we got to take you away from your family and your home. We got to put you in one of those camps for all those sick people where you're likely to get sick. We got to quarantine you. You said something rude to me? You're rude to me? I'm going to say you're sick. I'm going to say you coughed. Off to the camp now. There was kids escaping the camp. There was national hunts for kids who escaped the camps. Like, people were being put into camps. Like, people forget how wild the situation was. Now, did Epstein have a role in this? Well, Epstein was calling people goys all the time. He was working on a eugenics operation. Epstein, like Bill Gates, along with Bill Gates's family, a lot of ties with people who believe that there's too many people in this world, big-time eugenicists, big-time operators of individuals who want to cull the human population. Epstein was also working on and linked to designer babies. How did they do that? Gene editing. As of course, he was working and being a part of projects that revealed bids to engineer superhumans and clones. And just like you could build people up, right, genetically, and do designer babies like they've been doing for quite a long time now, the price of this is going down pretty significantly. It helps out a lot of people who can't have babies or who have a high likelihood of their kids being sick that are able to do this, to intervene to make sure that their children aren't sick. This is a wild story. Epstein linked to designer baby empire in latest files that reveal bids to engineer superhuman and clones. As he's a eugenicist. He literally had a eugenics operation where he tried to impregnate 30 women at one single time in his New Mexico ranch. The FBI was too afraid to even go to that New Mexico ranch, where he needed a helicopter to fly in, where he had connections to Bill Richardson, another freak that was at the Bohemian Grove, doing mock child sacrifices as male prostitutes were literally shipped into that place. Real life story, as of course I confronted Bill Richardson, and he sweated like a pig when I wouldn't stop asking him questions about the Bohemian Grove and all the other sick, predatory things that he was a part of. Jeffrey Epstein was, quote, collaborating with a Bitcoin developer on a plan to create the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years, newly released documents reveal. A fresh batch of Epstein files published by the Department of Justice on Friday include emails between Epstein and Brian Bishop, who in 2018 was seeking financial backing for a venture aimed at genetically enhancing offspring and ultimately replicating humans. And this is where we're going. We're going towards a technocratic day and age where the elites live forever. All the human population is called, except for the few slave class that serve them. And people are eugenicide. People are not able to have children. We are already being biologically targeted. People are becoming less fertile. Testosterone levels going down, sperm health levels going down, ovary health level going down. People are being mind warped culturally with fourth and fifth forms of generational warfare to hate the opposite sex, not to have families, not to believe in religion. People are already becoming sterilized. Now, if you're a part of a sterilization program that allows the elites to live forever while everyone else is killed off, or psychologically programmed not to have families, not to do anything, you gotta control who's gonna have children. Why not do that through, of course, new technology that doesn't need humans? We could just clone them. In an email on July 21st that year, more than a decade after Epstein had already been facing criminal scrutiny, Bishop had sent Epstein a pitch deck outlining a project and its scientific aims. You're telling me Bill Gates is not already working on this stuff? I bet he is. Bill Gates is working on projects blocking out the sun. They worship a death cult. Right? They're satanic, devil-worshipping death cultists. You think they're not possible of doing this stuff? You think they're not possible of releasing a gene-specific biological form of warfare on the general public? RFK Jr. came out and talked about how it was genetically done in a way which allowed Israelis not to be affected by it. Interesting. Epstein replied, I have no issues with investing. The problem is only if I am seen to lead. Yeah, of course, the eugenicist, the guy with best friends with Bill Gates, who's into population control, wants to be the lead. The exchange suggested Epstein was willing to quietly bankroll the effort while avoiding public association, a pattern that would reoccur throughout their correspondence. Weeks later, on August 5th, now, of course, he was financing a lot of projects behind the scenes that we weren't even privy from. Yeah. Bishop detailed the funding required to move beyond what he described as a self-funded garage biology phase. Is that what was happening over there in Las Vegas and in California? Attached docs show 1.7 million a year for up to 5 years, 1 million for lab setup. Bishop wrote, estimating total cost of up to 9.5 million. And again, Epstein was a billionaire. No one knows where he got his money. The DOJ, the federal government, needs to release his financial records. They haven't. Then we could see who's actually on the payroll, who's bought off, who was paying for him, and who Epstein was paying. And what other hands in the cookie jar he had, because he had a lot of hands in the cookie jar, right? He had a lot of different things he was working on. What else was Epstein working on? I want to know. We deserve to know. We're not getting that from this government, and that's a shame. And that's really bad. Attached doc show. In a separate email, Bishop said the group was proceeding with more mouse testing at a Ukrainian lab. A lot of people believe Ukraine was the kind of biological weapons headquarters. Why? They had the Maidan Revolution. Epstein wrote in an email with the Rothschild saying this is a great opportunity. There allegedly was a meeting between Epstein and Zelensky, allegedly. Ukraine was known, and you know, Rand Paul was talking about this as a place where they probably did a lot of this human experimentation. There's also theories out there that strongly suggest that Kuf was actually made in Ukraine. Is that true? I don't know. A lot of this is in the realm of speculation. As they talk about how surgeries, microinjections were happening in Ukraine. Why in Ukraine? Well, again, that's where they had all of their opportunities that Epstein was talking about, the Rothschilds. But also, you just give a little bit of money to a Ukrainian politician, like, here. And the Ukrainian politician is like, yeah, do your biological forms of warfare here. Yeah, go ahead. Epstein replied enthusiastically, I like implant embryos. Wait 9 months. Great ending. Prosecutors in the U.S. Virgin Islands filed a lawsuit against the estate of Jeffrey Epstein in 2020, alleging that for more than 2 decades, he orchestrated a widespread conspiracy to traffic young women and girls to his private Caribbean island. Lots of people in the Caribbean, lots of politicians were just paid off by Epstein, by the way. He was buying them off, and he was able to buy secrecy, privacy, when there were multiple reports. I was there. I was on the island. I talked to the people around. They're like, oh, yeah. Airport staff saw him land with his private jet, not even go through customs, and literally just like go on the helicopter with small children on. And people were very concerned with the amount of small children that were being shipped and sent to that island. Authorities say he transported them by helicopter and boat, where they were subjected to abuse, with some victims reportedly as young as 11. They were younger than that. The lawsuit claimed that Epstein associates helped conceal the abuse through a complex network of shell corporations and financial arrangement. Court filings indicate, and again, the truth is in the financial records. This is why the financial records are so important. Court filings indicate that some people have alleged perdition continued as recently as 2018, overlapping with the period when Epstein was corresponding with Bishop. However, Epstein was first arrested in 2008 on charges related in Florida that were absolutely insane. Following this, he pleaded guilty and served approximately 13 months in a county jail with work release. Bishop told Daily Mail, "We never took funding from Epstein, and I'm, quote, proud of that." You were looking for it. Who financed your thing from now? Was it Fauci? Was it Gates? Who was it? Let's listen. Lots of very interesting people in the scientific community that look like Bill Gates was a major player in. That Epstein was a huge player in. Epstein had his own offices at Harvard. He was working on scientific projects and experiments with MIT regarding Bitcoin as well. As people are saying, oh, surprise, the new boss at the World Economic Forum is in the Epstein files. Huh. Interesting how that played out. I'm going to do a separate video on the kind of geopolitical, strategic type of weird situations happening right now with China, the United States. That's probably going to be the next video here on this channel. Lots to talk about regarding that, geopolitics, and of course China. As a lot of people believe that it's just going to be a matter of time until we go in and attack Iran. There was a missile incident that just happened and transpired that I think is the kind of tone. And it might not happen today, but some form of regime change, as I said. And again, like I look back at all my videos, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I was right about all this stuff. As last year I was saying, it's just going to continue and propel from here. And who's going to benefit off of that? That one particular country that's connected to Epstein a lot here. There's weird stuff happening here. And this is why I've always said we got to hold Dr. Fauci accountable. If we don't, the people who released the biological weapons during the coup years, they're just going to do it again. And that's why I think we need to prosecute and arrest Fauci as soon as possible, or at least investigate them, at least have a huge hearing, a huge trial. If you agree, share this video. Thank you so much for supporting me, supporting yourself, looking into and doing some research on ashwagandha. Really powerful, great stuff. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys supporting me, getting the ashwagandha. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechat.